Hey everybody, what's up? Chad Wesley Smith here with Marisa Inda for Juggernaut Training Systems and Juggernaut AI, and we're going to be talking to you about 5 common mistakes in the squat and how you can fix them. All right, so our first common mistake is going to be a lack of tightness in the setup. You're going to see this a lot in the upper back, and this is going to be when people start to get rounded over, pushed forward in the squat. So we want to try and create as tight an upper back position as possible. The first thing to do there is to try and pinch my fingers between Marisa's shoulder blades. That's going to create a good shelf for the bar to sit on. So as Marisa ducks under that way, squeezing the upper back together, then she's trying to pull her elbows together slightly behind her back. We want to ensure that the elbow is aligned inside the hand. So Marisa has her hands really close because she's got great shoulder mobility, and there could be times where the hand's close, but if she's not doing a great job with the upper back positioning, where you can see where the elbow could get outside of the hand line, even though her hands are still close, and she's gonna lack upper back tightness with that. So it's gotta happen with close hands, shoulder blades squeezed together, then elbows pulled together. So our number 2 common mistake that we're gonna see in the squat is improper foot pressure. For a long time, there's a lot of information out there about the squat, cueing the athlete to put their weight on their heels, and that's kind of caused some problems of bad balance in the squat, of not being able to utilize the quads fully to their ability during the squat as well. That can make it hard to get to depth because typically if you're really far back on your heels, you're either going to feel unbalanced, unstable to get to depth, or you're probably pushing your hips really far back, adding length to the hamstring, and then running out of length before you can get to proper depth. So what we want to see is a tripod foot, even weight distribution between big toe, little toe, and heel. That's going to allow the athlete to be more well-balanced, weight over their midfoot, have a much more effective squat using quads, glutes, hamstrings, low back, all synergistically throughout the lift. So along with the tripod foot, a cue that we like to use is to try and screw your feet into the ground or to twist the plates. So some people will use the spread the floor cue, which I find that spread the floor tends to get people just on the outside of their foot rather than having the tripod foot, 3 points of contact, big toe, little toe, and heel. So as Marisa is going to use the plates here just as a teaching tool for everyone out there on the internet, it's as if she's trying to twist the plates out, externally rotate both of her feet throughout the lift. Now they're not actually going to turn. That would be a really powerful foot twist from her, but that's the idea, that we're trying to twist the plates out, externally rotating both of them, but that's going to help maintain big toe, little toe, and heel, but still create the hip position that we want. So the third common mistake we often see in the squat is improper breathing and bracing patterns. So what we're seeing too often with lifters is that they're really just focused on breathing big air into their belly, and if they're being cued like big air in your belly or abs out into your belt, and all they're doing is pushing their abs forward, they, along with doing that, might be putting themselves in some lumbar extension, which just isn't going to be as strong a position as we want. So what we try and cue is 360 degrees of pressure, or to tell them to breathe down and out into their obliques. And what that's going to do, the breathing down and pushing out into the obliques, you're going to get the pressure in front, but now you're going to get pressure on the sides and a little bit of pressure in the low back as well. And you're going to be able to maintain a much more neutral position as you do this, rather than big air in your belly, abs forward into the belt, or down and out into the obliques, creating that more stacked, what we call it, can of pressure. If you were to think of an empty soda can sitting on the table, if it's all intact, it's pretty hard to crush that can, but you put a dent in the side of the can and now smashes right away. That dent in the side of the can is that too much lumbar extension, or of course flexion as well. So trying to keep the bottom of the ribs pointed at the top of the hips, and then fill that with 360 degrees circumferential expansion. So common mistake number 4 that we're seeing in the squat is too hip dominant of a squat, especially during the start. If you've been cued a lot with hips back, something like that, you could start squatting in a way where you're doing more of this kind of move, sticking your butt backwards. Typically is going to come with the weight a bit more on the heels, and as you sit back, it could be hard to actually get all the way to depth. So for a while we were kind of over cueing for people to initiate the squat with the knees a little bit more, but ideally what we're looking for is a simultaneous unlocking of the knees and hips at the same time, so we can squat straight down And while doing that, maintain even pressure between big toe, little toe, and heel. So we're not doing this, sitting way back on the heels, initiating with the hips. We're not doing this, initiating with the knees, being too far on the toes. We're just, bending our knees, unlocking our hips at the same time, sitting straight down. If you struggle with what you feel like is too much of a hip dominant squat, maybe your hips are rising early coming out of the hole, you might need to really emphasize pushing your big toe down, maintaining big toe pressure. So the fifth common mistake that we see in the squat is what some people would call the stripper squat. This is going to be the hips rising too fast, rising early relative to the shoulders during the ascent of the squat. And it's going to look a little something like this. So what's happening there is my first move out of the hole is my hips are shifting back, weight is shifting onto the heels. A couple ways that you're going to be able to correct this. One, you want to focus on that big toe pressure. So pressing my big toe down and keeping my knees forward as the first move out of the hole. So if my knees shift back, my hips rise, my knees stay forward, hips and shoulders rise together. Another thing that I need to actively be thinking about is pushing my upper back into the bar. So if I'm just pushing my feet into the floor as hard as I can, it wouldn't be uncommon for my hips to rise a little bit fast. But if I actively drive my upper back into the bar, trying to create even pressure with my back into the bar as my feet into the floor, then everything can rise together. It's not uncommon that this would be a problem that lifters have who have a really big deadlift relative to their squat. So they might just need to do some more quad focused work. Things like belt squats, hack squat, leg press, where they're training their knee extensors in absence of loading their back so they can kind of deal with some of that imbalance there. So there's 5 common mistakes in the squat. Hopefully these tips are going to help you stop making them. And if you want to take your training to the next level, check out the Juggernaut AI app for 2 weeks free at juggernautai.app, through the link down in the description, through the link in our profile, all those places. Thanks for watching.